Okay, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the 57th meeting of the 7th Council of Municipality of South Dundas. Once again, we are in the virtual world of WebEx. However, we plan on being in chambers and streaming live at our first September meeting if all goes well. So we do look forward to that. However, we still will be cautious because we are still in the COVID-19 era, and we'll be being smart within chambers and everything else. With that, I'll call on the clerk for the roll call, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Here.
Councillor Lewis?
Here.
Councillor Mellon? Councillor Wells?
Here.
Dale Garrity?
Here.
Treasurer McMillan?
Here.
Deputy Treasurer Mason?
Here.
Deputy Clerk Robert?
Here.
Director of Transportation Heineman?
Here.
Director of Environmental Services Watson?
Here.
CBO Lowy?
Here.
EDO Hunter?
Here.
And Clerk Brunt.
Okay, thank you. Confirmation of agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or amendments this evening? Nothing from council, anything from the clerk?
Yes, we're going to move, we've been asked to move the consent items 9G and 9J to discussion items. And we're adding discussion on Ontario Street and discussion on engine brakes.
Okay, so they're added on the end of the agenda that was sent out to council, J, K, L, and M.
And 9O, the landfill expansion will be moved in camera as we need to discuss property owners.
Okay, anything from council? No, okay, we're all good. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof this evening? Seeing none, we'll call for the adoption of the minutes, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that the minutes of the 54th special, 55th special, 56th regular, and in-camera meetings of the municipality of South Dundas be adopted as circulated.
Any comments or issues from council on any of these minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon? Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion passes. So we have no delegation petitions tonight, so we'll move on to action requests. First one is TS 2020-12, RFT number TS 20-25, 15,000 pound two-post lift.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Councillor Wells, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept the report TS 2020-12 to purchase a 15,000 pound two-post lift to current system service in the amount of $15,437.19 plus HST.
Jeff, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is the results from the RFT, which the municipality put out for the purchase of a new 15,000 pound two-post lift. This new lift will be placed in the Williamsburg garage to replace the current 10,000 pound lift, which we have. Our fleet is getting bigger. We now own more 3/4 ton trucks and a 1 ton truck, and our lift just cannot support the vehicles which we presently have. When this new lift gets installed, the old 10,000 pound one will be set aside, and it will be sold at a future date in the fall via whatever form we choose to use as a disbursement. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions which you may have.
Okay, comments, questions, concerns, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Council Lewis,
No, no questions.
Council Mellon.
Okay, yeah, all right, I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Council Wells.
No, we discussed this, I'm all good.
Okay, with the call vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Mellon. Did we lose you, Counselor Mellon?
I'm having trouble with my audio. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we're calling the vote, so do you want to vote yes or no?
Sorry.
Say it again. Didn't hear you.
Repeat it? Archie, are you there?
Can you hear? Okay, yes. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Counselor Wells,
Yes.
Motion carries.
I don't know what's wrong with it.
Okay, now you can mute yourself, Councilor Mellon. That's good. We'll get through it. Don't worry. Next action request is FES 2020-06 capital purchase of hose.
moved by Counselor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report FES 2020-06 to approve the purchase for the 2020 fire hose replacement from M&L Supply Fire and Safety for the amount of $13,019.10 plus HST.
Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As in the report presented to you at the time of the budget, we told Council that we would be testing and looking at all our hose this year again. During that process, we did have a few fail, and a couple of the hoses were badly damaged and were taken out of service. Due to that time, and since that time, we've had a couple major fires where we need to draw water from the bigger water lines within the municipality, especially Morrisburg and Iroquois. So we needed more hose at the end of the day than what I had asked Council for. So I'm just asking for the extra money that we need, the other $5,000, $4,200 to come from reserves. We underspent by quite a bit last year. And we do need them, and they are in service now. But I will tell you that over the last 5 days, we have lost 2 hoses at structure fires that we've had. So that's what I have. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Comments, questions, concerns? Councilor Wells to start, please.
No, it's all just what we need for our fire department, so it is what it is, and I have no issues. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Mellon.
No, we need the hoses. That's it.
Councilor Lewis.
No, no questions for me. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Nope, no issues.
Okay, we'll call the vote then, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Mellon,
Yes,
Counselor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next action request is ES 2020-13 Gallup Canal Marina buoys.
Moved by Counselor Wells, second by Counselor Mellon, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report ES 2020-13 to award the supply and installation of 2 white hazard buoys with appropriate signage on the east approach of the Iroquois Gallup Canal Marina to ODS Marine Construction at the price of $6,488.50 plus HST.
Danielle, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you this evening is a report looking at options to mark the submerged wall at the Gallup Canal Marina. In June, staff received correspondence from Transport Canada that they had been receiving complaints that the submerged wall was not appropriately marked and causing boats to collide with a submerged wall. So upon hearing this, the municipality reached out to OPG. So the submerged wall is part of OPG land that we lease. So we reached out to them, and OPG provided us with 3 options. So the 3 options are presented in the report. The first is to mark the complete length of the channel with red and green buoys. The second is to mark the submerged structure with multiple yellow caution buoys. And the third is just to place signage right on the structure itself. So staff has gone ahead and gotten quotations for all 3 options. This evening, we are recommending option number 3. It did come in at about $6,488. And we are proposing that amount come out of the existing capital projects fund. That was $30,000 this year. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Mayor Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, actually, I don't have any questions. Obviously, the safety trumps the rest of it, and it sounds like a good plan.
Council Lewis?
No, I definitely have no questions on this. It's something that has to be done. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
No, I think, we don't want to risk our lease with OPG on that land without the proper signage. It's been an issue for the last number of years. I have no problems with it.
Council Wells?
No, I have no issues with it, but I just want to bring a lot of people up to date on this. How we got to this stage of spending $6,000 of municipal money. Because I own a boathouse for 5 years up there, and all the boathouse people, we used to put out stuff there at no cost to the municipality, and there was certain, I don't know, I think it was maybe 4 years ago, we asked for some stuff, and at the time the municipality turned it down. So this is needed, but I just want to let the public know, and staff and council, that this all used to be done for nothing. True, however, it got to this point now, because obviously they're not out there. The people that put them out there didn't feel like they were appreciated. So I just know that they were appreciated, and it's never got here, but we need this, so it is what it is. So I do agree to it, but it came to the point where we wouldn't have to spend this money if we just let the people of boathouses do the work before. Thank you.
Okay, so I got a bit of discussion on this one. First of all, to Councillor Wells's point about the free use or the free work that was done by the committee, and it was appreciated. However, the committee at that time took measures that were well beyond what they should have, and that's why we as municipality had to take it back over. Everybody's got to play by the rules, and they got well beyond them. And in the end, maybe us running it isn't the best thing in the world, but and perhaps we need to look at options next year on how we're going to run a marina along with other facilities that we have in the municipality that are used by a certain group of users and not by all taxpayers. So with that, I did have a discussion with a boathouse owner who has a fair size unit that he needs to go in and out of that channel. In fact, he was the one that brought up the issue in the spring when things had moved around. In his opinion, and he does a lot of boating, not just in our area, but other areas downstream or upstream of us, that we should go with option number 1. I know it's the most money, but with the red and green spar buoys, they are the official markers that we would have to mark a channel of any kind of length. If we go with just the 2 white hazard buoys and the sign, he says that is just asking for trouble. They won't be marked very well, and someone's going to ram into that wall. And in the end, it'll cost us more than the $6,500 or the $10,000 we wish we saved, because to take the bottom end out of a large boat is $20,000. So I'm asking the council to reconsider and at least look at more options than option 3. There's no disrespect to our staff, but I just had to I figured in approaching someone who does boat, because I don't, that that knowledge was something that we should know about and at least consider in our decision. So we'll go around the table again and see where we go. And in the end, council makes the decision. So, Mayor Gardner.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you raised some points. I used to boat with my family, but it's not something I do on my own. So if the boaters, I mean, when I think about when I wrote my license for boating, buoys would be better than sign. They'd probably last longer too. And it is also a universal language. I'm assuming we wouldn't have put the sign to be bilingual, correct, Danielle? The sign would have just been in English. So that would have run into some things. So, you know what, I would agree with the upgrade. Taking into consideration your points, Mr. Mayor, I think going with universal sign, not signage, but a universal boating language rather than just relying on a sign and some white buoys might be a better approach. So I'm okay with the extra. It's spoken to in the Marina capital budget. I don't think we have any other projects or anything else that requires major attention. So I think that, you know, I'm okay with the upgrade. I'm comfortable with that.
Councilor Lewis.
I have no problem with the upgrades. When it comes to voting, it's better to listen to a professional, well, somebody that votes where I don't. So I don't have a problem with that upgrade myself. So yes, that sounds good. Option one.
Councilor Mellon.
Yeah, I've been in and out of that marina a few times, and part of the problem, I think, is the fact that the what board markers are out there. When the water gets down, they drift off, and they drift off the wall, and the next thing you know, they can drift by 5 to 10 feet once the water's lower. These new markers, I guess, they would be. You'd have to keep adjusting them because if when the water level goes down, they, like I say, they drift off where the old wall is underwater. And depending on the current, you could be 5 or 10 feet off. This is going to come out of the marine money or just the capital, general capital budget?
Danielle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it would come through the capital budget for the marina. So not the general capital budget, the marina capital budget.
Marina capital budget, which was 30,000. I don't really have a problem, I guess, going with the better marking system because it is rather hazardous if you are coming in there, and I've experienced it once firsthand. So I would go along with your suggestion there, Bivels, and go with the more expensive option, but the better option.
Councilor Wells.
No, I definitely agree with council on that. The only concern I'm having is to Councilor Mellon's, like these guys are going to anchor actually to the wall. So those buoys aren't going to be, they're just going to go up and down with the water level. They're not going to fluctuate like the other ones that were put out by the volunteers were just weights, and weights can move. These are actually going to be anchored. The only other concern I have, like I'm looking at the option one here, there should be, because the only ones that are going to be coming in that canal that way is actually the people that have slips. My concern is to have a big sign out on the south point there of the marina stating to the people that are coming in for fuel, they can see the buoys and everything, but there is also that wall is probably 8 feet wide. So just to make sure that when they're coming in, they see the direction towards our fuel and our marine building. That's the only concern I would have. Other than that, I do agree with the upgrading to the one there with everything, but also have the signage showing guests coming in that wants fuel and that and whatever at the marine building to, if you're coming from the east, to stay to the left so they're not coming over the wall the other way to come in to where the slips are. Thank you.
I understand, Danielle, we have a sign out there now, so we have to make sure that people kind of have an idea where the fuel entrance are. Is that correct?
Yes, there is an existing sign there. It probably could use some sprucing up. It's a little worn, a little worse for wear. So we can do that as part of the operations budget. We can repair that sign and make it a little bit more clear.
Okay. And not the, I appreciate council's, looking at this situation in a better light. It's just not blaming staff. It's just that, you gotta sometimes ask someone that truly goes in and out and knows the regs to help us along. Not only for the boathouse owners, but all those that use our boat ramp go out that direction. Excuse me, go out that direction too. So, okay, Madam Clerk, two options. We can either defeat this and rerun it, or we can change the option. How would you like to proceed?
We could make an amendment to this resolution by saying to choose, if this is correct, to choose option one at a price of $10,081 plus HST with signage in both directions. So that will eliminate to award the supply and installation of 2 white hazard buoys with appropriate signage on the east approach of the Iroquois Gallop Canal.
Does that make sense for all council? Especially those who had, who were the mover and seconders again? Sorry.
They were Councillor Wells and Councillor Mellon.
Councillor Wells, Councillor Mellon, good with the amended formula?
I am.
Okay. So maybe you can reread the motion and then we'll proceed on it, please.
Okay, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report ES 2020-13 to choose option one at a price of $10,081 plus HST from ODS Marine Construction with the signage in both directions, the addition of signage.
Okay. So everybody's good. We'll call.
Mayor Byveld?
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next action request is ES 2020-14 Ice Edger.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Lewis, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report ES 2020-14 to approve the purchase of a new Olympia propane ice edger at a price of $1,990 plus HST.
Okay, Danielle, please.
So in front of you this evening is another report looking at the ice edger for the Morrisburg Arena. So the current ice edger that the municipality owns is from 2006. As part of the 2020 budget proposal, it was requested that this ice edger be replaced because it is past its expected lifespan. So we recently, well, not recently, I guess, back in February, the arena attendants brought it to our attention that it was not functioning properly. So the mechanic for the municipality did look at the machine and determined that the cost for the associated repairs would be about $2,500. So we also wanted to get a better picture. We reached out to see what a new ice edger would cost, and it's about $3,900. So administration is requesting that council give further direction as to whether you'd like us to proceed with repairing the existing ice edger, or if you would like us to purchase a new one at that $3,900 price range.
Okay, Councilor Wells, to start, please.
No, it's basically straightforward. We're not gonna, I wouldn't want to see $2,500 spent on a machine that's apparently 14 years old. So I would go with options 3. I think it's the best choice. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Councillor Wells. There's no sense dropping 2,500 into an old machine like that. My question, I guess, is the old one is propane now, and what is the horsepower and the cutting width of the old one? Reference back to the one that you're recommending, Danielle, 8.75 horse with 14-inch cut. Is that equivalent to what we have now, horsepower wise, and the width of the cut?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, according to our arena operators, the proposed Olympia propane model that we have in the report is very similar to the existing one. They're just different brands.
Okay, so it's the same, basically same power and the same cut. Like I have no idea what 18-inch compared to 14. They're only one of 18 inches, and no, I'm good with going with the recommendation. That's all, Mayor Byvells.
Thank you. Council Lewis?
If the arena staff believes that the 8.75 is good enough with the 14-inch cut, that's good with me. But I do believe the Zamboni edger that is there now, it is a 10.5 horse and it is 18-inch cut. When you start working in the corners, you need the power to get down there. But if they figure an 8.75 is good, that's good for me. Thank you.
Mayor Gardner?
No, I'm good with the report, and to Councillor Lewis's point, if the staff feel it sounds like they're replacing it with potentially a smaller model, if they can make do, then I guess that's what we'll go with.
Okay, then we'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next report, ES 2020-15, 2020 landfill consulting fees.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Wells, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report ES 2020-15 to direct staff to utilize the landfill reserve to fund the Matilda and Williamsburg well easement agreement costs in phase 1 of the Matilda landfill expansion.
Danielle?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this report is looking at the existing costs that we have spent to date in 2020 on consulting fees at the landfill. So a report came to Council at the last meeting, and if you noted, there was $92,515 already spent in 2020 on consulting fees, which leaves about $7,000 remaining in the landfill consulting fee budget for 2020. Which is not sufficient enough to cover the remaining expenses for 2020. So staff is requesting that the additional funds for the Matilda expansion, as well as the well easement agreements that council has entered into with property owners, be funded from the landfill reserve, and that the remaining amount for the consulting fees that is still required for 2020 be offset by savings we have found in the landfill operations. I'll take any questions if there is any.
Okay, thank you. I'll Deputy Mayor Gardner start, please.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. I'm okay with this. I think we've all stated that the landfill business is an expensive one, especially with the closure and expansion. I was happy to see that the savings with the purchase of the compactor, 33,000 and change is not chump change. So it's good to see that we can put that 33,000 towards this, almost 34,000 actually. So good job with that. It's nice to see that there's a bit of a return on a decision to go ahead and purchase that compactor. So that was my only highlight. Thank you.
Council Lewis?
No, I have no questions on this. Good work. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
Yeah, I guess, this is, I think, something that we got to do. the well agreements and the consulting fees. I guess, Danielle, you know, as we move into this, and this is sort of new territory, I guess, if you will, do you foresee anything else that's going to come up that's going to be unbudgeted for, or since we're over budgeted now, everything from now on will be unbudgeted for? We just got to be, to me, we've got to be careful on how we move forward with any further cost or whatever. We're over budget now. It's all right. I have no problem with spending it. It has to be spent, but do you foresee anything else, Danielle?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't foresee anything else because the consultants have submitted a proposal to the municipality in 2020 regarding the fees associated with the next steps for this project. I can't foresee anything on the consulting side that would increase. Landfill operations, I don't foresee anything there either, but with regards to consulting, they've submitted a proposal and I cannot foresee it going over that. We will be staying very close to this budget that we've just presented this evening with the consulting fee. So I don't think, unless council directs staff to do further work on the Matilda expansion outside of what's in this report, I do not think that we will be over on the consulting fees any more than we already are.
Okay, thank you, Danielle, Mayor Byvells, and by no means, you know, there's always the contingencies or the unforeseen, and but if we can just keep a close eye on this, by no means do I hold you to, you know, oh, we're going to be another, you know, let's just hope there's nothing else. I appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you.
Council Wells.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Where do I start here? I agree. Like Councillor Mellon had a lot of things I was going to ask. My question actually would go back to staff prior to budget for 2020. Danielle, you were saying about WSP having a proposal or whatever. Like, do we actually have any control over their consulting fees? Like they can say it's going to cost us $100,000. Now we're apparently going to be over by 30-some thousand or whatever. What control as staff and council and municipality have over WSP as far as they're just say, okay, it could be this, and all of a sudden it's that? Is it like an open book for them on consulting? Like prior to, well, you wouldn't have been there, but as far as budget goes, like we're going over, there's, the way I seen the thing, there's only 7,000 left in what we had. Like, did that proposal come in after the budget or prior? Like, if we would have budgeted 130,000, I'm just curious. Like, and it's something we have to watch close. And how do we get to this point where, especially with the consulting, WSP knew exactly what was going to pertain to their things, and I just wondering how we got to the stage that we're going to be over. So it's just, I'm concerned that we don't have an open invoice book for this. You guys just keep coming back and say, okay, well, WSP wants another 15,000 for consulting. Just tell me what we have for controlling that. Thank you.
Can I call on the CEO on that? Because he'll have all the history on that. Shannon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So a little bit of history is before Danielle came to South Dundas, we were preparing the budget. At that time, if Council recalls, we indicated that we were going to kind of keep a status quo from budget to budget from last year. So we really didn't do much with the budget. We wanted to wait until the new director was in place, that they could go through the financials and figure out kind of what a plan is. That's probably part of the reasons why we're over, is that we just kept last year's numbers. I think Danielle has done a lot more this year than we've done in past years, which I think has evolved into a little bit more cost. But at the end of the day, we want to get to that point where we can find out whether or not an expansion is doable, or if we look at a different avenue. So, you know, Danielle and I have talked about the costs, And something we are looking at in the fall is possibly looking at tendering this out next year for pricing so that we can get some competition.
Okay, Councilor Wells?
No, that's, I just, like I said, don't get me wrong, like we need to do this, but I just like to know how much control we have over that. It's just not an open book. So you basically answered the question. We didn't increase it from the year before. I'm good, but it's just something I would really appreciate if they really kept a close eye on. Thank you.
Okay. So I agree with those kind of comments. You know, we need consultants in this world. This is not something that we can't have expertise in, and no disrespect to Danielle, but she knows that the engineering stamps that these people bring to the table are required. But I will highlight to our residents that, you know, landfill and garbage is not cheap. And I've been saying that, and these kind of reports really emphasize that. We're spending a significant amount of dollars on old and new landfills, old being the old Williamsburg and new being the current Matilda and possible expansion. So please always keep that in mind when you put stuff at the curb. You know, it's no such thing as free, and this one is has getting to be a real expensive item in our on our ledgers. So with that, I will call for the vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next report, CAO 2020-09, Iroquois Sewer Replacement Project, Elizabeth Drive.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Mellon, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report CAO 2020-09 for the Iroquois sewer pipe replacement to David Brown Construction for a total of $86,950 plus HST.
Shannon?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Danielle can maybe add in a little bit more after I'm done, if I forget. So this is another project that was identified under our Iroquois wastewater treatment plant. As Council will recall, we have some additional funds under that funding portfolio from the federal and provincial governments that we are trying to utilize. This was one of the actually 150 meters of sewage pipe that was identified a number of years ago when we did an inspection. And it was, it indicated a high level of infiltration into our wastewater treatment plant. So this is looking at replacing that and using the provincial and federal funding to do that. We did have 7 contractors that did pick up the tender documents through EBB, in which council will see that we received 3 prices for that. And if there's anything I missed, Danielle, please feel free to add anything in.
Danielle, you good? Okay.
Okay.
And we'll go around the table, starting with Councillor Wells, please.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I'm good with everything on this. I have no questions. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
No, actually, I'm glad to see that, you know, we estimated it was going to cost $250,000 and we've come in under budget. So no.
Councillor Lewis?
No, I have no questions on this. That looks like a fairly decent price. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Under budget is always good. I'm good with it.
Call for the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Move on to CAO 2020-10, Iroquois Storm Culverts Relining, WW 20-24.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Wells, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas accept report CAO 2020-10 to award the Iroquois Storm Culverts Relining to Aqua Drain Sewer Services, Inc. for a total of $101,018 plus HST.
Shannon?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So this is another project under the infrastructure money that we're looking at completing. Originally, we identified 10 culverts in Iroquois that were candidates for this relining. Based on the budget we have, we're only recommending to do 4 at this time. And once all the projects are completed, we'll look at the remaining funds we have left and then come back with a report to council on what the priorities will be, whether we want to do additional camera inspections in Iroquois, or if we want to look at doing some more relining. So at this time, this is the recommendation, is to do the, there's 4 culverts, one of them being a big culvert on Hustler headed south, which is about $60,000 alone. So we're looking at getting this moving forward and coming back to council in the fall with some additional projects if there's funds available. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, good. Mayor Gardner, anything?
No, other than well, sorry, I have one thing. I do really like the approach that staff is using to do that 4 and then recalibrate just to make sure we have enough money. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis?
No, I have no questions, but I have to agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner on very smart to pick the 4 and not overdo it. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon?
The only question I have is, and maybe I don't understand, and you can answer that, or staff, what's the capacity of these culverts now? When we reline, we lose capacity as you move outward on a culvert. There's going to be, I guess, 1 or 2 inches on capacity taken out of per saw. I'm just worried that if the capacity is there in the existing culvert, we'll have the capacity after the relining. If there isn't, we could be, I guess, asking for trouble if it's maxed out now and we actually shrink the size of the culvert. Do we have adequate capacity there, room to move or wiggle there?
Maybe our Director of Transportation might be able to answer that one.
So if I give you a description, Councillor Mellon, it's the same as what we do with our culverts. Let's use an 18-inch corrugated steel pipe, which is ribbed on the inside, versus a 15-inch smooth-walled plastic pipe. Yes, it's smaller in diameter, but because it's a smooth-walled, it will allow the same amount of water flow than an 18-inch corrugated steel pipe. So that little bit of difference, relining it, is going to, if anything, the water is going to move faster because there's no restrictions in that in the ribbed corrugated steel.
Answered. Thank you. No question.
Councilor Wells?
Yes, Jeff, I have a few. I guess you left. Hey, Jeff. Now, these 4 culverts that we're doing here, are they at a situation where they're collapsing? Or are they becoming like a pancake? If so, if they're becoming like a pancake, we're putting these liners in them. How, and going back to Councillor Mellon, about, I understand the smooth part about water, but how much are we actually losing? Or like these culverts, are they like a 360 or are they flattened down that we're putting these liners in? Can you answer that?
I can't answer on the shape of them because I wasn't involved with the inspection side of it. But to be a candidate for relining, there still has to be some form of structural strength there. Because if there's not, then you're just relining for nothing. And like you said, it's just going to either explode when they go to reline it, or it's going to fail on us. So I wish I could answer the question on what do they look like, but I was not involved in the inspection side. But speaking from past experiences with relining, there still has to be some form of structural strength in order to be a candidate to do this project.
Okay, one more question now. Those 4 culverts, when they come into our bridge survey we did there this year, or are these culverts below, like, do they classify as a bridge or just a culvert that's at a point? Like this one is going to be 64,000. How big is that culvert?
It would be, for a bridge, it's got to be within a 3-meter span to be considered a structure. So no, these are obviously smaller pipes. They could be 18-inch diameter. They could be 24-inch diameter. Maybe Shannon can tell you the exact size of them, but they would not fall within our bridge inspection.
So I'm just looking for $64,000. Like if that can't be a 24-inch culvert, that we're gonna 24-inch and we're hypothetically put a 22-inch liner in for 64,000. Like where's the line where it comes from? Just not a culvert up to where it becomes a bridge over a certain thing, because like the 4 is good, which I like it, but I can't grasp what's going on with if it's below our bridge inspection that we're putting this liner in, that we're going to spend 64,000. That, like, for me to buy a culvert for 64,000 and dig it out, put it in, I don't know. I know maybe it's, as far as staff goes, it's not part of your forte or Shannon's. Like someone's got to be. I just need clarification on the one, that Hustler one was $64,000, and apparently, if that doesn't go to the being a bridge or a culvert that has a structural issue, which they all do, that just seems like a lot of money. That's all. I don't know. Maybe I'm being outspoken here, but.
So I'll comment. I can comment a bit on culvert lining because it's something that the counties do on a regular basis. According to the county engineer, it's something that, as our director said, they only do on decent structured culverts, but it improves the life significantly. As our director said, that nothing here is a bridge, because 3 meters is a large diameter culvert, 10 feet. Nothing's here, but doing a culvert like Hustler, it's a fair length. It's 24 inches in diameter. It'll also depend on their access points and how they can get at it. So that all that has to be included in the thought process, because if it's a challenge to get equipment into the end, then it'll cost us more. They say you can do it, and I'm not disputing them, but culvert lining from a county's point of view really works well. And to be honest, it never looks cheap, but in the long run, it tends to be your best bet going forward. So just comments from counties from the experience I've had there.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just looking at numbers here, when everything comes below being a bridge, and that just seems high. But if I'm good with you, you know more about it than I do. I'm not up on it, and so everything's good.
Just to let you know, Councilor Wells, I was like you at one time at county councilor, and I did all those questions too. So you learn down the road, and you know, as I said, it's a good way of making assets still work longer for you. Anything else from any members of council?
Thank you.
Seeing none, we'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Wells,
Yes,
Councillor Mellon. Sorry.
You get all the votes?
Yes.
Okay. And the motion carries. Moving on to bylaws, and we have several tonight. In fact, 10. We'll start with 2020-58, Thomas Merkley Drain Schedule Amendment.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2020-58, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Thomas Merkley Municipal Drain, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sean, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number 2020-58 is a bylaw I'm bringing back that council had passed at the last meeting. When I was doing a review of the account before we were getting ready to invoice, I noticed an error that was on the 2014 grant application. So what we're billing out is $8,259.69, which is the net of the corrected grant amount. And there are 8 properties with less than $10 assessed for a total of $55.41. And I will note that these invoices will be due November 30th. This is something I should have caught before the last time I brought it, but I caught it this time. Thank you.
Okay, better to catch it now than later. Are there any questions or concerns from any members of council on this drain? Seeing none, we'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next one, 2020-59 is our 2020 Emergency Management Plan.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2020-59 being a bylaw to adopt the 2020 Emergency Response Plan be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Chief?
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is just an update of our emergency management plan. The only changes that we made this year was the notification of the members of our emergency management group. We used to do it by telephone. We're now doing it by app. So that this is the public version of our plan. Most of our changes come in the private one, but so we're asking council to approve this and amendment to our plan. Thank you.
And as council is aware, this was a fairly important document. As much as we almost got to use it this year, we're using some of the bases to formulate what we're doing through this pandemic situation. So we take this seriously, and this is a plan that certainly needs to be adopted when it is fully necessary. So any other comments from council on this plan? Councillor Wells, I can't see you. Are you good?
Lloyd, we can hear you now, Lloyd.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, we're discussing the 2020-59 bylaw, which is the emergency plan.
Yeah, I read it. The only question I had was in part one, the introduction, about Cameron. They were saying like on any given day, like through the summer, we could through just in the municipality have extra 2,000 to 8,000 people depending on events. Is that based on events and stuff?
Sorry, that's we probably should update that number again. We'll look at that next year. But that, yeah, it's one number I haven't changed since I've taken over this. So it was there when I inherited the plan, and we will look at it the next year to update it. Thank you, Councillor.
No more questions, Mayor.
Okay, anything else from any other member of council? Seeing none, I call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 2020-60, the tower agreement.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2020-60 being a bylaw to amend an existing structure agreement with Xplornet Communications Incorporated be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. This is an agreement that started in 2012 with Xplornet to allow them to install their antennas on our 2 water towers, and they've also erected a tower at Matilda Hall, which they are replacing. And we'll carry on for the next 5 years with this, and it's 5+5. So I'm sorry we're not allowed to let the public see the agreement. Because of negotiations with other municipalities.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns for any member on the law? Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Byveld. When we do the work on our water towers, has to be moved from their point of view, like cabling, whatever, that will be at their cost. Will it be, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have said that the cost will all be theirs. There are a couple other people that are on our towers as well, and it will be their cost to take their stuff down when we do the refurbish.
Thank you.
Okay. Nothing else? Seeing none, I'll call vote then, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Motion carries. Next bylaw is 2020-61, DeVries Road.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2020-61 being a bylaw to stop up, close, and dispose of any part or part of a highway being a portion of DeVries Road be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Go ahead.
As you know, we've been working on taking the bridges out on DeVries Road for almost 3 years now, and I do believe, and the Director of Transportation can verify that for me, that it'll be coming out in the next week or so. We thought it was supposed to come out by the end of July, but they are busy. And we will dispose of the property to the Thurler Farms.
Okay, any comment, Jeff?
No, so I've been in talks with Eddie Como of Fast Eddie's, and they are just completing a job in Brockville, and then they'll be moving the equipment down to take out the DeVries Bridge. So I'm going to follow up with them again tomorrow, and I will fire council off an email and Brenda as well on a more closer date.
Okay, that includes the 9 Mile Bridge too.
Yeah, we'll get DeVries ripped out first, and then we'll do the 9 Mile.
Yep. Okay. Comments, questions, concerns on this file? Councilor Mellon.
Thank you, Mayor Byvelds. I didn't see the draft agreement with the Thurlers. There was a second, the first draft, there was an issue, I guess, with Mr. Maracker not having a covenant onto that land for the land he has on the south side of the South Branch. That was included, I guess, in the secondary draft that was sent out, and as far as I know, I haven't heard anything different. Mr. Maracker and Mr. Thurler are both all right with the draft. I haven't seen the draft agreement, but as long as that covenant is in there, then there shouldn't be a problem. I think this gets rid of a liability for Thurlers and for the municipality.
Yes, Clerk Brant.
That is an agreement between the two landowners, and it did go through the lawyers, so that's not something that we were privy to, but I'm sure it did go through because they had spoken to each other throughout the whole thing, and they were happy with the survey plan as we presented it before we ever brought it to council.
Question then, the covenant on that piece of property then, that won't be through the municipality, that will be between the separate landowners, I guess, the agreement on title to allow access to that one parcel of land then?
That's correct.
Okay, that's how that agreement works. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns on this file? I know that I agree with Councilor Mellon, things had to be done on this. It was a liability for many years, and I think two cooperating landowners brought this to an end, and I think from this point of view, this was the right option to do on this certain piece of road. So with that, we'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next bylaw is 2020-62, which is a zoning bylaw amendment.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2020-62 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48 be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Nicole?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is our zoning bylaw amendment to remove the swimming pool provisions from zoning bylaw 2010-48. And the next bylaw would be to bring forward the pool bylaw, municipal-wide pool bylaw. So we held a public meeting for this zoning bylaw amendment on July 17th. There was one interested party in information, and we provided them with that same day. We received no further comments.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns on this file? Seeing none, we'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. With that, next bylaw 2020-63 was our pool bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2020-63, being a bylaw to regulate the enclosure for privately owned outdoor swimming pools and spas, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Nicole?
Okay, so based on the previous zoning bylaw amendment, we did put forward a public feedback survey for our current, the zoning bylaw that's being brought forward. And we did receive quite a few, I guess, responses on that. So 50 people responded with a 46% in favor. The rest being kind of spread out all over the place. If you have any questions about the zoning bylaw, I can answer those at any time.
Okay, so we'll go around the table on this one. Starting with Deputy Mayor Gardner, please.
Thanks. I read the comments from the people that filled out the survey. Thanks for putting that together. It seems that it is spread across the board, but in my mindset, the majority of the comments were positive. I've looked through the bylaw as well. The only question I have is when we talk about, which is what initiated this, we talk about spas, swim spas and stuff. We don't speak directly to the swim spa. We just kind of put it under the, like whenever I see the, where was it? Spa. So we wouldn't run into that problem again, right? Because it's any hard covered item. I know we've covered this, but I'm just double checking.
Yes, we included in the definition, so it
Okay.
covers swim spas and hot tubs and similar.
Yeah, you've got a varied form. So, okay.
Right.
Yep, I'm good. Thanks for your work on this, Nicole.
Councilor Lewis?
No, I have no questions on this bylaw. I think it's good for the purpose. Good work. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon?
No, I mean, looked the comments over in the survey, I guess, if you will, and I think the majority of people, I think, realize what we're trying to do, and that's, protect the municipality against liability, but more importantly, the homeowner, and most important thing is the public from a possible issue with lack of fencing for young children. And at the end of the day, like it or love it, it's, accidents will happen and young children will be young children. And I think the fencing part of it is very well done. Thank you.
Councilor Wells?
Yes, I agree with my colleagues on this. I think the amendment and everything, the new bylaw is, I think I read all of the comments too. You're not going to please everyone, but in general, I think we have seen what I've seen. I think it's everything's good, and like Councilor Mellon says, the council is putting safety first. So hopefully we did our job. Thank you.
Okay, Nicole, it's a good bylaw. I do have some questions on distance separation because it was brought up by number 17 in the comment section. So what is just to clarify, the distances from a lot line for a pool?
Typically it's 1.2 meters.
Okay. And are there any other distance setbacks that could cause issues with somebody on a small lot?
Yeah, for sure. So they have to submit a site plan. And if
Yeah.
the pool that they're proposing doesn't meet the setback requirements, then they wouldn't be able to install it.
Okay. So
Number 17 refers to the noise issues. So if there was any equipment that's being overly noisy, they would have to kind of maintain noise barrier, if you want to call it that,
yeah.
between the neighbor and themselves and the equipment, I guess.
Okay.
That's just a common.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I guess let's see how it all goes, and I think if there are any major concerns or issues that within a year or so, then you can bring that back to council. If there's any good ideas, then we can alter it a bit. But this is a real good pool regulation bylaw, and it does cover what we all started with, which was the spas and swim spas. So that's good. There's nothing else from any members of council. Let's call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll move on to 2020-64, the Aiden K. Castleman Municipal Drain.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2020-64 being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Aiden K. Castleman Municipal Drain be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number 2020-64 is for maintenance on the Aiden K. Castleman Drain that was completed in 2015 at an accumulated cost of $27,907.66. Agricultural drainage infrastructure grant was applied for and received in the amount of $6,317.24. Those amounts have been applied to the eligible agricultural properties. The net amount to be assessed out to the watershed is $21,590.42. There are nobody under $10, so everybody will be getting a bill that's in the watershed. Thank you.
Any comments, questions, concerns from any members of council? Councilor Mellon?
Thank you, Mayor Byveld. Sean, do we send the bills out to them, or is that handled through their Treasury Department, or how do we do that when we overlap into another jurisdiction?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Mellon. What happens, Councillor Mellon, is we will send an invoice to the municipality for all of the properties in the watershed, and it is up to them to either assess it out or just pay us directly. Either way, the municipality will pay us, but it's up to them whether or not they assess it out to the properties in the watershed.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sean. Mayor Byveld.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none, I'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next one is 2020-65, Doran Creek Municipal Drain.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2020-65 being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Doran Creek Municipal Drain be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There were 3 beaver dams removed on each of July and December 2015 and one in June 2018. The cost of those 3 removals is $2,473.79. Agricultural drainage infrastructure grants were applied for in the amount of $284.98, have been applied to the eligible agricultural properties. The net amount to be assessed out is $2,100.88 $88.81 because the dams were located at different locations on the drains. The upstream properties are the only ones that receive a bill for each of those dam removals. And there are 45 properties under $10 for a total of $82.80.
Okay. The only comment I'll make before I go to council, Sean, is to make sure that when you send this out, that the reason of the maintenance bill is for the beaver dam removals, because people will be wondering about that. So it certainly is maintenance, but most people associate maintenance with dredging the channel. So any comments, questions, concerns on this one? Councilor Mallon.
I'll make it short and sweet. We used to have a line item in the budget for beaver control, and I thought that looked after the beaver dam removal. In the past, we used to budget $10,000-$20,000, somewhere in that number. I don't ever remember us ever sending out a bill for beaver dam removals before in the time I've been on council. Can you elaborate on that? Like, I mean, I'm thinking back, I don't think we had a line item as such for beaver control. Is this a separate thing? Like, I mean, beaver control would be out trapping them, but we always used to remove the dams too when we trapped them, did we not?
My understanding is, Councillor Mellon, that when we remove a beaver dam, it is a grantable work under the Drainage Act, and if we are to apply for a grant and receive it, we should be billing it out. We have the option to bill it out to the watershed. The beaver removal line in the budget is ideally strictly for the trapping and removal of beavers themselves, and then the work on the drain is recovered through this method. I think in prior years it may have not been specifically identified as being beaver dam removal, like has been done in this bylaw.
Yeah, because I don't ever remember my time that we've ever pulled out for beaver dam removal. Was just sort of a line item for beaver control, I guess. I don't know, but I haven't really got a problem with getting the grant money and sending it out to the landowners that are gaining the benefit from them. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, call for the vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to the next one, it's 2020-66, the Armstrong branch of the Dorn Creek drain.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Councillor Wells, that bylaw number 2020-66 being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Armstrong branch of the Dorn Creek municipal drain. Read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number 2020-66 is to assess out the costs of the maintenance on the Armstrong branch of the Dorn Creek municipal drain. The total costs were $6,506.16. Agriculture drainage infrastructure grant of $1,230.73 was applied for and received and has been applied to the eligible agricultural properties. The net amount to be assessed out will be $5,275.43. There are 7 properties with assessment amounts less than $10 that we won't be assessing out for a total of $45.98.
Any comments, question, concern on this drain? Seeing none, call the vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next bylaw and the last is 2020-67, the GD Baldwin municipal drain.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Mellon, that bylaw number 2020-67, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the GD Baldwin municipal drain, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number 2020-67 is a bylaw to assess the costs of the GD Baldwin Municipal Drain, which was completed in 2014. The total costs of maintenance were $3,243.60. An agricultural infrastructure grant of $920.23 has been received and applied against the eligible agricultural properties. The net amount to be assessed out is $2,323.37, and there are no properties under $10, so everybody will be getting a bill.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns on this drain? Seeing none, a call for the vote, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
yes,
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. Go to the consent agenda, please.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Lewis, that all items listed under general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented, save and except for items 9G and 9J be moved to discussion items, and 9O be moved to the in-camera portion of the meeting.
Okay, so tonight we have a significant list, a letter from the Municipal Affairs and Housing versus the COVID-19 Economic Recovery Act. Municipal Affairs and Housing concerning Bill 184. A letter from the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks concerning environmental assessment modernization. A letter sent by South Dundas, South Stormont, and South Glengarry mayors concerning transient travelers. We also have petitions from the City of Oshawa, the Township of Perth, the Municipality of Chatham-Kent, Town of Gore Bay, concerning various items. We also have a letter from the President of AMO concerning the Blue Bot strategy summary we sent to him. We have a rate increase coming from Enbridge that has been notified to us. Eastern Ontario Health Unit has told us to put bats in our local population. Also have key information reports from water, wastewater concerning the trailer they just purchased. Also from the on the arena chiller update, and we also have facility maintenance and repairs update, and monthly activity reports from rec and facilities, economic development, water, wastewater, transportation, environmental services, building and planning, fire, emergency services, finance, administration, and CAO. Call for the vote, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon, Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're on to number 10, boards and committees discussion items. First one is county council, and I can't remember if we had a county council after or before our last meeting. You know, Deputy Mayor, I think we had it already, same time. No, county council was after.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
I didn't catch you off guard.
No, I
Been a
did the
while.
I did the calculations. Actually, thankfully, it was the first meeting in quite a bit, Mr. Mayor, that, as you know, we were able to meet in person but with social distancing. And when I'm looking at what we discussed, because it did seem a long time ago, I'm actually not seeing, we did pass quite a few, some change orders. We did discuss culvert lining and some COVID items like a mask policy, that type of thing. I don't really see anything, nothing's really jumping out except for the announcement of longtime clerk Helen Thompson. That was brought forward at that meeting publicly. But the rest of it, I'm not seeing. We did talk about the tourism funding. I don't know, unless I'm missing something, Mr. Mayor. It was a pretty regular meeting. Nothing's jumping out.
Yeah, I don't think of anything else at this time. Any comments or questions from members of council concerning the counties? We're still not doing County Road 1, Councillor Mellon, so you'll just have to hang on to that one. It's not gone out of my memory, trust me on that one. Cemetery Board,
No meetings, Mayor.
okay. Iroquois District Business Group, nothing. Morsford BIA, anything, Councillor Ellen or Lewis?
No, nothing.
South Nation Conservation Authority, Councillor Mellon?
No, I haven't got a report tonight. Lucky you guys. No, the next meeting's August 20th, and I'm not sure if we're meeting live or if it's still the WebEx.
Okay. Morsford Waterfront Committee, I attended along with Deputy Mayor Gardner, a meeting they had about 2 weeks ago. Reviewed the parking lot plan that we had discussed earlier. That has all come to fruition thanks to our Director of Transportation and his crew. We have now 2 shiny new gravel parking lots at the Morsford Waterfront, along with what we've already done in the past. The committee is happy with where they're going, and they're already having another meeting coming up this week. So, any comments, Deputy Mayor Gardner?
No, just for the hard work. Nothing to add. It was a good meeting, except for the pouring rain.
We got a good picture, though. We had a boat that had a rainbow on top of it, or a ship, I should say. So that was the bonus of the evening.
Yeah, it was good.
Iroquois Waterfront Committee has proposed a meeting for this week. Location will be determined. South Branch Community. Anything? No. Garment House.
No.
Archives have not met. Tourism Advisory Committee.
Yeah, actually, we met, and I'm sorry I flipped my calendar too fast. I can't remember, but we met late July, and we had a bit of a roundtable, listening to the impact that COVID-19 has had on our South Dundas tourism operators was pretty devastating. Some have lost almost 97% of their revenue that they would have regularly had at this time of year rather, because they were shut down for a large portion of time. And then we did have a positive move forward that I will leave for discussion later on. Our economic development officer has provided a report that kind of states to what we came up with.
Okay. Economic development.
We have yet to meet.
Okay. Doctor Advisory.
We haven't met yet. I think we met prior to the other meeting, but Donnie and I had the occasion to drop off a welcome basket to Dr. Kuna, who was in isolation, but has relocated to our area and is getting ready to start practicing. Donnie and I, it was wonderful to welcome him and his wife and his young family to the area. Our staff, along with South Stormont, but our staff did a fabulous job coming up with a bit of a welcome basket, and it was quite nice to welcome someone that is just starting their career in South Dundas.
Oh, thank you for doing that. Any comments, questions, concerns, or anything from council on any of these items? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you. Draft mandatory face covering policy discussion. Shannon?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this policy tonight in front of you is just in regards to the health unit requirements for mandatory face mask in public spaces. So this just mirrors the health unit's requirements. We thought it would be a good idea to have a policy in place for staff to make sure that our citizens and our staff as well keep it enforced in any public space through the municipality. So if there's any questions, I said this is draft, so we'll come back as a final document at our next council meeting if council approves.
Okay, we'll start with the Councillor Wells, please.
It's pretty straightforward. I have no questions. I'm good with everything that's going on. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
Yeah, I'm thinking this will be related to this policy. When will this policy, are we going to be opening up our facilities, the third floor for exercise classes and Matilda Hall and whatnot? Will they be opening up soon? And if so, will they have to, like, obviously, I don't think you can exercise with a face mask on. I don't exercise, so I wouldn't know if I had one on or not. So, but I just wondered if the facilities going to be opening up soon for those type of programs, and where will the face mask come in play there?
Go ahead.
So we're just waiting on some language from the health unit in regards to our small rec centers and how they can open up safely. So we do expect that any time that they'll provide us the requirements that we need to meet in order to open up the small rec halls.
Thank you.
Councillor Lewis?
No, I have no questions on this policy.
Mayor Gardner?
Nope, this is a standard operating procedure now for all organizations. So it's good.
Okay, so I guess you can bring it back to our next meeting for bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
The next one is draft telecommuting policy discussion.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So this policy was brought forward just due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Thought it would be a good idea to have a policy in place on how and when people or staff can work from home remotely, and the requirements and the criteria that they need to meet in order to do that successfully. So it is quite a lengthy document, but if council has any comments or questions, as I said, this is a draft form right now that we'll bring back at our next meeting.
Mayor Gardner?
Thanks. A lot of these changes are happening because of the pandemic. But one of the things I can say, and I don't, Shannon, if you've given it any consideration, is sometimes to attract top talent, telecommuting or a formula for telecommuting, it's sometimes nice to have as part of a regular scenario. Obviously, in cases where a person is a supervisor or whatever, you definitely don't want folks to be hiding in their houses and not making contact with our residents and stuff. But I know that there's other municipalities actually that are looking at different ways, because as we all know, and Shannon especially would know, it's getting harder and harder to attract that top talent. I know one Zora Township actually is doing a pilot project where their staff work 4 days a week. So it might be something to look at if other municipalities are doing it, and we want to get the best and the brightest, it might be something that should be considered as part of the regular package.
Great idea.
Councillor Lewis?
I agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. As far as policy, no, what are you going to do with this COVID-19? I have no questions on it. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
I got a comment and maybe a question, I guess. As far as tracking the amount of work that can be done, or are being done at remote locations, at home, if you will, you have a process or a way to do that, Shannon? I agree with this policy. Some employees can probably get more done maybe at home, but will you have a system of tracking to make sure that the work is being done in a timely manner?
Yeah, I think, what COVID has kind of brought upon us is that it's amazing how much you can get done at home without any interruptions. So we do have staff that currently right now, the odd time here or there, depending on a project or whatever they're working on, will work from home on a day or two. We track it. We make sure that what they're saying they're getting done, they get done. They have access to the files from home. but I think just kind of formalizes everything on a policy that they have to assign and abide by, that we have that document.
One more, I guess, point in remote workspaces, 7.2, on page 203. The South Dundas will be liable for any accidents at a remote location. Remote. So I have a little bit of an issue with that. Like, I mean, if a person's working from home and they trip over the chair and hurt themselves, we're going to be liable, or for that? Like, I mean, we provide a very safe work environment in office for our public works and our facility rec employees and whatnot. I just don't totally agree with that. That if a person's working from home, I think it's their responsibility to make sure, if you will, they don't get hurt. That's but the only thing I can really pick out of this.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree. I think the part of the policy indicates is that they need to provide a safe workspace, that they have to demonstrate to us that they have provided a workspace. Ultimately, if they're at home, they're still working on behalf of the municipality, doing the work, so that they would be covered under insurance and all that stuff.
Okay, chances are it's not going to happen, but I mean, there is. Anyways, that's but the only thing that caught my eye. Thank you, Mayor Byvells.
Councilor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, that in this report is exactly what I was bringing back. I agree with Councilor Mellon here. Like, to extend everything out, and I'm sure all our employees, I hope all our employees are trustworthy, and if something happens. But if Martha goes to the bathroom, trips over little Tyler's fire wagon, which should have been put away or something, I think it's a fine line, and we should actually go through that. And I don't think it should be extended the full amount. Something should be brought up, and I understand this pandemic and all this stuff, don't get me wrong, but it just puts something out there that I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that 7.2 in there, personally myself. Other than that, everything looks good, but that was a concern of mine. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
I think we could check with our insurance agent and just see what the wording be on that. We can bring it back whenever we bring back the final product by bylaw.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Yeah, I think when you have an agreement, remote agreement, that speaks to that. It's because if you have somebody working from home, then their home insurance company declares it a business, and you're not obviously in business when you're working for the municipality. So it may just be a work related. It needs to be defined broadly, where it would be a workplace related injury. So sore back, something that would be covered under WSIB, as opposed to tripping over little Johnny's toy or whatever. I think it's quite common to have that in a remote thing. I think maybe just the wording would be defined, but most folks that work remotely from time to time, it's because they've proven that they can do the work. And to Shannon's point, it is, I found myself, and I found with my staff, that you actually get more done if you're getting caught up or whatever. So I think it's worth maybe just a clearer explanation, but it is quite common to have that, because if it's not in there, then say something happened, the homeowner insurance would have a problem because you were doing work out of your home.
We'll get further clarification and bring that back.
And I think that's a reasonable explanation. I think you got to be real careful with insurance companies. If you are working at home and they decide not to cover you if there was an incident, somebody has to do the coverage. So we certainly don't want to get into a discussion on who pays what in the end. So let staff figure this out a bit more and come back with it. And concerns are justified, but we'll figure out which is the right direction. So anything else? Okay, so you've heard our concerns, so you can bring that back at next time. Committee representatives bylaw discussions, Madam Clerk.
Sure. So the Morrisburg Waterfront Committee rep, Councillor Wells, has resigned from that committee, and we're looking for council to appoint another representative.
Okay, so if I was asking somebody from council to do it, I think Deputy Mayor Gardner would suit that role well, being from Morrisburg and having a vast tourism and everything else interest. So if she's willing and council is willing, then that would be the direction I would suggest to council. Any objections? If not, if Deputy Mayor Gardner is willing.
I'd accept.
I have a resolution.
Okay, go ahead.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Mellon, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas appoint Deputy Mayor Gardner to the Morrisburg Waterfront Committee effective immediately.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
I can vote on myself? Okay, yes.
Committee. Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Your first meeting, I understand, is Wednesday. They like keeping busy. That's good. Next one is key information report on COVID-19 related tourism and initiatives. And we'll call on EDO Rob. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a key information report on some initiatives that the Tourism Advisory Committee is pursuing. This came out as the Deputy Mayor Gardner had mentioned that a couple of weeks ago that the Tourism Committee had a meeting, expressed that during the roundtable portion that tourism has been quite impacted. A number of our businesses are, that from a revenue point of view, have been quite impacted during this pandemic. That's backed up by the stats that I've seen from Limestone Analytics that was engaged by the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. And then basically the analytics company showed that tourism and the tourism related sector is the greatest impacted sector and will take the longest time to recover. And they're talking that recovery is probably going to be well into the end of the year, beginning of 2021. I just actually saw a report from Royal Bank of Canada, and they said the stats on tourism related revenue Canada-wide is down 64% Canada-wide from this time last year. So definitely a little bit of work to do to help our tourism sector. So they have come up with some initiatives to help. The first one being some washable style cloth face masks that are going to say "Welcome to South Dundas. How may I help you?" That we're going to hand out to our tourism-related and retail businesses. It's kind of hard right now to tell if someone's smiling because we do have the mandatory mask policy in place by the Eastern Ontario Health Unit when you're inside. So they thought this was a great thing that we could do. We're also going to be putting up strategically around the municipality some signage, encouraging people to experience and also shop in South Dundas. And then finally, we're going to set up a dedicated tourism-related Facebook page. All the costs that's associated with these initiatives is already included in the special projects line of the tourism budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
start with Deputy Mayor Gardner. She was on that committee.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. For those wondering, is it too late in the season to start this? Absolutely not. With the money that the funding that Upper Canada Village had was given to ensure that they can move forward with some of their Pumpkin Inferno and a Light at Night events. We have to do everything we can to help our tourism operators do well in these troubled times. And, we talked a little bit about it today as well. And, the positivity and trying to spread that can-do spirit and stuff is really important. And I think encouraging anyone coming to this area to actually take a broader look and see what they can purchase or whatever is well worth it. So and like I said earlier, it was devastating to hear the round table about just the horrendous impact it's had. And I mean, we even, heard from the likes of the Playhouse, who's not having a season this year, but feels that this pandemic will impact next year as well. And not in the sense that they won't be able to operate, but just how they operate. And I think that we have to do something, and this is a good start.
Councilor Lewis, any comments?
No, I think they've all been said. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon?
No, I like what you got started, and I just got in the mail there today that staycation, promoting SDNG in Cornwall. So everything we can do, everything, very well done. Thank you.
Councilor Wells?
I agree with all my colleagues. It's just it's going to be different for a while, but I think everything's going in the right direction. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the tourism committee on behalf of South Dundas. It's certainly a large economic driver in normal times, certainly been hurt significantly in COVID times. However, I think we can do what we can to make sure we're inviting anybody coming to South Dundas. We can't survive on our own, and any new dollars coming in is good for not only the operators, but all of South Dundas. So good initiatives. With that, we'll move on to the next key information report, which is Haldane Park and the Legion Cenotaph. Rob?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a report regarding the park and the Cenotaph. Going back to last year, I had presented on a number of properties that the municipality did own and does own. And this one kind of stood out. There was different talks about the possible future development on this property where the Cenotaph is located, or possible recreational infrastructure in the future. And council made no decision at that time as to doing anything with the property, but they did ask staff to reach out to the Iroquois Legion branch to talk to them about the possibility down the road there was wanting to do something with that property. Would the Legion be amenable to moving Cenotaph? Of course, with COVID-19 happening, I did have some discussions with Darlene over the phone, but finally we were able to actually meet face to face at the Cenotaph, and then take a walk up to the road where there's some property that's directly south of the parking lot at the Iroquois Civic Center. And that was a location that the Legion identified that if the municipality at some point in time did want to move the Cenotaph, that they would be amenable to that, and that their preferred location would be on that property that's just south of the Iroquois Civic Building parking lot and the former church. They said, it's a little bit closer to the Legion, the Iroquois buildings there, in case there's, the weather's quite bad on Remembrance Day, a little bit of a shorter walk too from the Legion. So they were certainly open to the Cenotaph being moved if there comes a point in time that council would like to move it, or development of that property. So just bringing this report back to council to let you know, yes, we did reach out, we did have the meetings, and they've identified the property that if at some point in time, that would be their preferred location.
Okay, start with Councillor Wells.
No, that's great. I remember the meeting with all the properties, and I'm glad the Iroquois Legion is good with everything, because that was my main concern. I wouldn't move forward doing anything unless the Legion approved it. I think that it's good, and maybe we can reach out if it ever comes to that, where we're going to sell it or have something done with that property, maybe help with a little bit of expense of moving the cenotaph. But other than that, it's great that they're good with it. Thank you, Rob.
Councillor Mellon, you still online?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm
I can see you. That's okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm glad we're reaching out to the Legion, because as far as I'm concerned, the Legion and their cenotaphs, as far as I'm concerned, are sacred ground. We don't touch them unless it's an absolute, an agreement with them and they want what they want to do. So I'm glad we're moving forward with this. I know on the Matilda Memorial rehabilitation that they did back there, Darlene Riddle was on that committee, and there was some talk at that time of maybe taking on a project in Iroquois, maybe after the Matilda. Matilda one is just about wrapped up over COVID-19. Not much. There's a park bench to leave back there, but I have talked to our MP, Mr. Duncan, and I'm sure that when the time comes, himself and the committee would be willing to maybe work with the municipality and with the Legion in some kind of project like they did at Matilda. So, but like I say, it has to be unanimous from the Legion before we move forward.
Councillor Lewis.
I agree with my colleague, Councillor Mellon. The cenotaph Legion is very sentimental to me, and I wouldn't want to see anything happen to it unless it can restriction the Legion itself. I think we've done a good job. Thank you very much.
Deputy Gardner.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thanks, Rob, for reaching out and following up with this. I think it's a very good example of what can happen when different organizations kind of look at the bigger picture, and how not only can their organization benefit, but also South Dundas as a whole. Of looking at things and seeing if we can do it differently or do it better, and hopefully this will move forward and there'll be benefits on both sides. It's we're all in this together, and I like this train of thought.
Okay, I agree with all council. I know that Darlene's reached out to me many times on the idea of moving the cenotaph and working with the municipality on doing so. So that's a good idea. The only caution I have in this whole thing is that once it is moved, that the property that it's on and in beyond on Haldane Park, if we do anything there, we would have to have a very good public discussion on trying to do anything there. I know that in the past we've done little bits and pieces there, and it definitely causes some discussion among the local residents. So we have to keep that in mind on any future plans. So other than that, everything's good. So thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Next one is key information report on proposed tipping fee increase. So Danielle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in front of you is a report as requested by council, a couple, actually at the last council meeting, regarding coming back to council with different landfill tipping fees. We did discuss waiting for a scale to be put in place. However, council felt at the last meeting that we should move forward with increasing the tipping fees. So I did take some suggestions into mind. So this is just a draft proposal of what I'm considering for the increases. So I'm looking for a little bit of feedback on what council feels is appropriate. Some of the highlights to the changes would be that we would be moving towards a full user pay system. So making sure that the users of the landfill are adequately paying for the landfill. So one of the bigger changes is instead of the $5 minimum charge, we would be looking at instating an infrastructure charge, so moving it from $5 to $10. So every time someone utilizes the landfill, they would be paying an automatic $10. And then on top of anything else that they would be getting rid of. So if they were, for example, if they were coming in with a truck load, they would be paying $15 for the waste in the truck plus a $10 on top of that. And that infrastructure charge would pay for the landfill itself. So all of the equipment, the operations and whatnot. Another item that I highlighted here is that the construction and demolition charge, we discussed that at the last council meeting. So we discussed sending all the construction and demolition waste to be recycled to another facility. So that you'll see that that cost is reflected in the table under the construction waste surcharge. So we would be charging a surcharge on construction and demolition waste to ensure that we're full cost recovery on that. Some other items are things like the CFCs. So any items that have CFCs, which are refrigerant based. So we're looking at our air conditioners or our freezers. They have to have a special CFC removal. So again, full cost recovery on that is about $35. So again, charging a surcharge on those items. We do not currently charge that high of a surcharge. So you'll see that again reflected in the table. The same for mattresses and box springs. Again, we discussed recycling those at the last council meeting. So again, full cost recovery would be charging $15 per item, plus the transportation charge, which is why it's at $20 in the table. And the other large factor that I wanted to bring to council's attention is that there would be a charge for curbside waste that's collected. So right now, the municipality is not setting aside funds for the waste that comes in from the curb to the landfill. So if we were to move to a full user pay system, myself and finance would have to sit down and figure out what that rate would be. But based on the amount of compactor trucks that visit the landfill a year at about $500 per compactor truck, we're looking at about $260,000. Compared to other municipalities in SDNG, that's pretty normal for disposal fees. So if Matilda were to close and we had to go to a private facility, that's roughly what we would be looking at for disposal fees in the long run. So if council has any questions, I'd be willing to answer them.
Okay, I'll start with Councilor Wells. Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Danielle. Like I always said, like it's got to pay for itself. There is some increases are pretty steep. I don't really have I just need time to think about this. There's a lot of calculations I have to do myself, and just to because I know if we implement this, there'd be a lot of questions coming back. But what I've seen with this, the fees and that, personally myself, if the dump goes ahead and we get the weigh scale, and things could come down a bit based on size of trailers or whatever. But overall, it's at the end of the day, our waste facilities have to pay for themselves. So if this is what it takes, I have no issues with it. But I would like to have it right to, like, you guys are really keeping a close eye on this, that we can fluctuate and keep it down. As far as demo and all that, you know, it is what it is. It can, as a contractor myself, if I know I'm going to pay that much for a 12-foot trailer, you put it in your bid. Just move it on. So we'll just see the way it goes, play it out. Like I said, I'm the one that started this, like, user pays, and I think at the end of the day, it has to be, we got to get our money back. So that's about all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
Thank you, Mayor Byveld. Danielle, could you clarify? So if I come in with my car and I had 2 or 3 bags of garbage, I'm going to pay $5 just to use the dump plus whatever for the bags of garbage, right?
So right now you would pay the $5 to enter the landfill, and that would be the only fee that you would pay. With the new fees outlined in this report, if that's what council wants to move forward with, you would pay $10 for a car. Once you got over the size of a car, you'd be paying $10 plus the additional. So you'll see truck or van loads are additional 15 to that 10. So you'd be paying $25 for anything larger than a car.
Okay, just to, you know, I think this is where we got to get to. Just that, you know, if somebody's coming in with just a few, I'd much sooner have it worked into the price of the garbage without the fee to get in until we have the scales in place. I mean, the scales, the cost for utilizing the dump would help go towards the offsetting the cost of the scales in the long run. But, you know, if somebody's coming in with a 6 or 8 foot truck load of garbage compared to somebody with a few bags in the trunk of their car, I guess I would much sooner just have it worked into the user fee, I guess, if you will. You worked into the price of the bag of garbage that they're getting rid of, I guess. So I don't know. Just that's the only. Some of the increases are there. There's no sense. I know in other years we tried to, you know, soften the blow, but I don't think we can do that anymore. I think we got to get to where we got to get. That would be the only thing that, you know. The only thing I would have maybe an issue with is charging somebody with just a few bags in their trunk compared to somebody with a truckload user fee. But maybe this is the way most municipalities or townships do it now. Danielle?
So yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, a lot of municipalities, they have an infrastructure fee. It's very common. You'll see it in wastewater and water, and it's also becoming very common in environmental services. So when you look at your landfill, and the whole point of the infrastructure charge is to ensure if something needs to be inflated, you're not inflating your fees, you're inflating your infrastructure charge. So as your infrastructure ages, the price of your infrastructure fee would increase with that aging so that you can replace it, or in landfill circumstance so that you can close the landfill. So you have the money in the bank at the end of the day to close that facility. So it is very common. $10, like I said, it depends on the facility. In the last report, I talked about how every municipality is different depending on how large their landfill is or what kind of infrastructure they have. So $10 is what I feel right now would be adequate. But as we move forward, that number might change. For example, if we decide to expand Matilda, that number may increase or decrease, depending on the amount of waste we take in.
Okay, well, it's going to just take some getting used to. I guess that's about it. Thank you, Mayor Byveld.
Council Lewis, please.
I believe where we are today, these prices are not outrageous. I do not believe they are outrageous. I think they're very equal across the board. I'm kind of like Councillor Mellon on the $10 minimum charge, but hey, I can live with that. It costs money to operate a waste site, and somebody's got to pay it. So no, I'm happy with what's on paper here. Thank you.
Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. Yeah, I agree with my councillor colleagues. I don't find the increase absorbent. We have to pay for the service. And I mean, if one thing that I think I can say I've learned in my time on council is the fact that landfills and garbage disposal is expensive. And it's also expensive to the environment if it's not done right. So I have no problem with this. I think my only thing, and obviously it wouldn't be presented today, and I've raised this at our committee of the whole meetings, is I would still like to, and I know Danielle's working on it, kind of an aggressive education program, and as well as an aggressive whether it's hazardous household waste days or like diversion days where we have our residents get to benefit from properly disposing of certain items on certain days, and we give them a bit of a break by doing the right thing. I know there are some residents that will be concerned that there will be an increase in garbage being dumped along our roadways. I would absolutely hate to see that happen, and I really hope people don't do that. But if that is the case, then I also, on top of this, and kind of knowing that that might happen, we should also have kind of a program for people that do clean up ditches. I know we have it now where people will call and get the garbage picked up, but maybe even a recognition program, because there are so many of our residents that pick up after people that are not willing to pay these fees and be good citizens. So thanks. I don't see a problem with it. Thank you.
Okay, so my point of view, I think the fees are the right way to go. I've said in the past that we need to bring our fees up to a reasonable level that makes sense. And just for an example, I had to, we as a family had to deal with the sale of my parents' house. And fortunately, a lot of the stuff was divided up among the family and what mom and dad still required. However, there's always the load that has to go to the dump because nobody wants it and it really isn't of any use to anybody. Even we even did the free by the road thing and actually worked fairly well. Only had one item left. So, however, I went in there and I'd say the back of my truck was reasonably full. It wasn't packed. There was a little bit of space left, but not a lot. That cost me $5. For that $5, the attendant has to be paid. The packer operator had to be paid. That day we had a rental bulldozer in, so that person had to be paid. The director has to be paid somewhat out of that. The consultant has to be paid. Other operational stuff has to be paid. And in the end, we have big closure costs. So how does $5 pay for anywhere near that? And I know that, it might be a challenge to some to have to pay more, but it might make them more innovative in how they deal with their waste. And hopefully that innovation is not our roadsides, because that would not make any of us happy. So I think the increases are reasonable and justified. I don't think we're here to make money on the landfill. We're just trying to break even and put some money aside for future closure. So I'm good. Any further comments at this time? Councilor Mellon, I can't see you. You're good?
I seem to be frozen out, Mayor Byveld, but I'm good.
Okay, I will ask if I don't see you. I know your audio still works, so as long as it does,
I'll jump in.
Okay, so go ahead with this and bring it to our next council meeting. Okay, next one's key information report on dry hydrant cost sharing with North Dundas. Shannon's got this one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is being brought forward tonight, as most council is aware. The Township of North Dundas installed a dry hydrant on County Road 16 in this year. I know between our South Dundas Fire Chief as well as North Dundas, they've been talking about having a collective agreement in regards to the utilization of that hydrant. We did have discussions between the CAOs in regards to having a formal agreement between municipalities on the requirements of this. They had a discussion at the July 14th North Dundas meeting and have agreed, if council is willing to have a shared agreement, that the municipality would be responsible for half the cost of the installation, which is about $8,000. And North Dundas would do the maintenance annually, and any replacements in the future years, it would be shared 50% equally. So If council's agreeing with that, then what we'll look at doing is preparing a separate agreement to bring back at a future council meeting to have approved by council. So Cameron, I don't know if you want to add anything into that as far as the benefit of having a dry hydrant out on County Road 16 for your crew.
So this would certainly benefit the farms in the area. You know, normally the last Thurler farm, I think we were there for 3 days hauling water from other sources. It's the time, the wear and tear on the vehicles. The water source will be right there. I think it's going to be a benefit to everyone in that corner, and should there be another major fire. So I think this is a great thing. I've been working on this with North Dundas for over a year. There was some unexpected costs which drove this up, the price up, but I think it's a great thing, and look forward to working with North Dundas on this project.
Okay, so I'm going to call on Councilor Mellon to start this because this is like in his backyard, and I know he's seen it probably under construction, but I did actually have a chance to purposely drive by it, and I do have comments, but I'll start with him.
Thank you, Mayor Byvelds. Yeah, yes, I mean, I guess was made aware of this probably, like Cameron has said, probably a year ago, and then that's when they were, their fire department was in contact with Cameron and our staff and whatnot. I have been in conversations with some of the chief and the deputy chief at South Mountain. I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to have a stable and adequate water supply. We have, you know, all the best trucks in the world and all the best volunteer firefighters, part-time firefighters, and the training and the equipment. It's all great and fine and dandy, but if you don't have the water to use back here, especially with some of the large agricultural you know, facilities back here, like the chief has said, at the last Thurler fire, we were drawing water for 3 days, and Matilda Hall unfortunately just does not have adequate supply there right now. It's all right maybe for a house fire, but as far as a large agricultural fire, a large barn fire, and South Mountain, you got to remember, does give us first response, whatever, I can't think of the name of what you want to call that, but for the north end of our municipality, and they were in desperate need of water, and I think this provides us with an excellent source of water long-term going down the road to protect the residents and the businesses back in the north end of the municipality.
Okay, Councilor Wells.
Well, thank you, Mayor. No, I think it's anything to do with fire protection and everything to our citizens now. If Chief Morehouse said it's a good thing, I'm all for it. I have no issues with it. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis.
I believe this would be very beneficial for not only North Dundas, but South Dundas also. When you get back in the north, there's a lot of water back through there. And for $8,000, that's pretty cheap, I would say. So I would definitely go yes for this. Thank you.
Mayor Gardner.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure we have water coverage for our rural areas. I think a partnership is a great way to do it, and I think that it'll be I guess interesting moving forward to see how it's used and when it's used, but hopefully it's not used at all. That would be even better. But you know, I think partnerships are good, so I don't have an issue with this.
So as I said, I did have an inspection of it a number of weeks ago. I purposely had to drive there and then have to drive the deep to the bridge. So I think Councilor Mellon appreciates at least I did a try there. It looks good. I'd like to thank North Dundas for being innovative and getting the idea and getting it done. I think it's a good partnership in that area. We certainly, as Councilor Mellon alludes to, we have a joint agreement with them on the north end of our municipality in that corner, and having a good source of water is very essential. I know that the most recent fire here down on Flag Road, the guys had the hydrant. You can't have a hydrant in the corner every time, but having a good dry water source like that, or dry hydrant like that, really works well. So I'm good with it. So you can bring any kind of agreement back, and we'll deal with it next meeting then. Okay, the next one is the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Club, their lighting system replacement. So in the council package, we've got a letter from Ron Beaupre, and I'll let Shannon talk to it, and then I can add a few more bits and pieces to it because I was somewhat involved in that. So Shannon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So as the mayor has alluded to, you have a letter tonight from Ron Beaupre in regards to the Iroquois Lawn Bowling Club. In there, it indicates that John Ross is putting forward a donation to replace the current lights, which I believe there's currently 8 lights, and to complete the work and do four LED type lights. So what we're looking for is direction from council tonight in regards to getting the work approved. The only thing I will caution council in regards to our charitable donation policy, it indicates in our policy that if the donor indicates that it's got to go to a specific contractor, a donation receipt will not be issued. So the only way a donation receipt can be issued if it follows our procurement policy and it flows through the processes that are set out within that. So that was the only comment I had right now, and I'll leave it open for council for any comments or questions.
Okay, so Shannon has kept me in the loop on this request, and I think John had mentioned it earlier to me that he was considering this. I don't really have any issues with John donating this to the bowling club. I think that that's good for them. They certainly struggle from a financial point of view, and trying to do the project for a number of years, not failing to get any grant money. However, I also think it's a good opportunity for the municipality and the lawn bowling club to come to a better working arrangement. Right now, there really isn't a good one. They basically are at our mercy for trying to do anything. And I know it's been a challenge on both sides on how it's been operated. Since their power right now comes from the forward house, I know this is a suggestion to come from the new campground building. However, my suggestion would be that we don't rob our campground building at this time. It's something that, as much as there might be something there, and I'm not going to dispute there's probably lots there, someday down the road, you're going to wish you may had that. And I think this is an opportunity that we run a separate service into their operation. Forward House Committee has talked about wanting to work with us on the Forward House. And one of their asks was to make sure that if they were going to be paying for their electricity bill, that they'd be only paying for their electricity bill and not anyone else's, and that would be the lawn bowling club. In the past, we've made agreements with the people who run the golf course in Iroquois. After a number of years of us trying to work with them, they went on their own, and that venture has really worked out well. And I think this is a time where we as a municipality and lawn bowling club come to some sort of agreement to, I wouldn't say cut ties, but come up with a better working agreement where they run their club their way, pay for the expenses, be no different than the Morrisburg Curling Club, which right now pays their entire expense bill except for the little ask they got from council this year, which includes property taxes. So I'm not saying they have to pay everything because property taxes may be an issue, but I think separating the circuit right now and running their own meter and running their own power and would be a good start. And that would be my opinion on that right now. So we'll go around the table. Deputy Mayor Gardner, start.
Thanks, Mayor Bible. I absolutely agree. Sorry, there's feedback. Okay. I absolutely agree with you, Mayor Byveld. I think we should need to get out of the business micromanagement. I think when we have a organization that's a formal organization that has a corner space that they're taking care of and they have a particular use for, I think we could come up with stronger agreements, but agreements that will just allow folks to do what they want to do and take responsibility for the for what they're doing. So I agree with the hydro. I think now is the time. They've received a nice gift from Mr. Ross. I think that's generous, and I think that our residents, just especially volunteers, whether it's recreational or historical, when they take on something and they care for it and they become connected to it, I think using staff resources and all that fun stuff is just a waste of time and money. And I wholeheartedly agree that a better agreement and just allowing them to do what they're going to do and have at her. So I like those comments and I agree. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis?
I agree with your comments, Mr. Mayor. The Lawn Bowling Club, they have struggled for many years, as we know. They went out and they bought their own equipment. I do believe that for their power, they should be paying for their own power. They shouldn't be robbing from the forward house. But I think we could most likely get along a little bit better with the lawn bowling people because they seem to struggle every year and they're pretty easy to work with. And that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, Mayor Byveld. Your comments and my colleagues' comments. I guess, Shannon, going back to you, so our procurement policy will not allow us to write a tax receipt. He can't get a tax receipt unless it goes through our procurement policy, which would be basically to tender it. Am I getting this right?
Yes, correct. So it's no different than the donation that was made to the Iroquois waterfront. It was given to a certain contractor, and our charitable donation policy indicates that a donation receipt will not be issued if it is requested to go to a specific contractor.
Okay. If the okay, I think that's something that's going to have to be worked out between the lawn bowlers and the club and Mr. Ross, how they're going to go through with this. From what I read in that report, he's willing to do it, give the money to them to do this work if he gets a tax receipt. But if he doesn't get a tax receipt, it's going to be a problem. I think we'll have to figure out a way to work around this and make it work within our procurement policy and make it right.
Councilor Wells?
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I want to say, kudos go out to Mr. Ross for making this donation. My time up there building the campground building and seeing the lawn bowling members, the work they were doing inside the servery and the volunteer work, it goes on like beyond what they have to do. They're very, very good, and like Mr. Ross helping them out here. Hopefully, I can't see to Councillor Mellon's, like I agree with everyone about time, like give them more space. As far as hydro, these new lights it'll be next to nothing to use them. But as far as the procurement thing goes, I think I do agree with if you're going to donate money, like it's a municipal land. So, and there's been different situations where, okay, people saying, but to this extent here, I'm sure it's not going to mine as far as donating the lights if he gets one or not, but it's something maybe we should look into, tweak it a bit. I don't know how far, but everyone should have a fair chance of bidding stuff if it's on municipal property. But moving forward with that, it's just, it's about time. Like the lawn bowling, they're getting their new lights and everything, and it's great. They're a great club. I don't even know how to play lawn bowling, but at the end of the day, I seen the work they've done up at the campground building, and it's well deserved. So again, thank you to Mr. Ross.
I'm sure Councillor Wells, if you talk to Mr. Beaupre, he'll show you how the ropes and get you to join, because I know he's always eager for new people to join. So give you another recreational outlet. So it sounds like council is willing to go down the road to at least have a chat with them and come up with a better operational working arrangements with the club, and have their own power source running. So as for the donation policy, I think that's something that we're going to have to at least review and see where we go. I know I find it rather challenging that, I think this was made by the last council, I believe, the donation policy. Not disparaging them at all, because I think it was a good policy and allowed for the right thing to happen. And sometimes people have to work within those policies. And if we as council want to change it, that's fair enough. I think we have to change for the right reasons, not just because certain things don't fit into the peg we want to fit it into. So always keep that in mind, because someone's going to do that every time we do that. Not sure that's good, consistent policy for any kind of government, let alone us. So we'll see where it goes. We certainly, is there anything further on council's mind on this? Okay, so we have a bit of direction. We'll have a discussion with the lawn bowling and go from there. Do we agree with John keeping on go? We all agree on John on letting them go ahead and then figuring out some of the small details on power source and everything, correct? Okay. Because that's important. And if we don't agree to that, it doesn't matter who's donating it. So, okay, so we agree to the replacement. We have some challenges with the procurement and the donation, and we also would like to see a better working relationship with them. So, okay, we'll move on. Township of South Glengarry long-term care homes is something that I asked to pull out, and I'm going to go back to it. It's on 154 of our agenda. They had some concerns on inspections of long-term care facilities, and being on the Glenstore Dunn Lodge committee, I know that it's important that these facilities get inspected, and I think supporting this resolution would be a good idea for us and supporting one of our neighboring municipalities. Any comments from council on that? Seeing none, has the clerk got the resolution ready?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Mellon, that the council of the municipality of South Dundas support the resolution from the Township of South Glengarry concerning long-term care homes.
Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll call the vote then, please.
Mayor Byvelds,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Lewis,
Yes.
Councillor Mellon,
Yes.
Councillor Wells.
Yes.
Motion carries. The next one that I asked to be pulled was from the municipality of Grey Highlands. I think we had it last month in our package and brought forward back to this meeting. It concerns the universal basic income resolution, and I know it's a contentious issue out there in among even the upper tiers of government, provincial and federal. Going through the COVID response, that economic response we've had, this is something that maybe needs to be looked at. I know that former Senator Hugh Siegel, who was a good advisor to our former Premier Bill Davis, thinks highly of this. As much as our former Liberal government was not great at looking after the books, they did start a project in several communities in Ontario, and they were canceled by this government. And I'm not criticizing this government, but I still think it's a possibility for us to at least support that this gets looked at a little bit more in depth. We do have a significant portion of South Dundas residents that are at the border of poverty or below, and this may be something that would help them, and then in the end help all residents of South Dundas, because rising tide lifts all ships. So I think, in my opinion, we should support this resolution and let it go forward and see if it gets some merit going down the road. Comments, Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor Bibles. I have absolutely no problem supporting this. I think that I did a little research actually in my professional capacities regarding basic income. And when you look at the modeling from different countries, it's too bad in Canada we've made it a partisan debate, because in other countries it's actually not a partisan debate. It speaks to, just as you said, everyone benefits from it. Whether it's the economy, the whole thing. So I was one of those people that was kind of on the fence, where, folks should have to would work or whatever to achieve a certain level. But after doing some research and seeing the benefits in other countries, I actually would support this 100%.
Anything else from Council Lewis?
No, I have no questions, and I have no problem supporting this at all. Thank you.
Council Mellon?
Yeah, I would need more. I can support this, but I would sure like to have more answers and how they propose this to work, to make it feasible and doable with the feds and the province. And but I can support endorsing this to carry it on to. I mean, I guess we'll never know if it's a feasible solution or doable solution unless it's looked at more in depthly. But I'm not totally 100% sold on it, but I can go along with council.
Council Wells?
Thank you, Mayor. No, I have no issues supporting this. I think it's something that through, and we'll see where it goes. Like you said, there's a lot of people in Valley South Dundas that's unfortunately below the line, and maybe this will help. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call the vote then, please.
Oh, I haven't done the
Got a resolution first? Sorry, getting ahead of myself.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas support the resolution from the Municipality of Grey Highlands concerning the implementation of a universal basic income.
I'll call the vote.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries, and I thank council for that. I think, I know when we have people like the House of Lazarus or the food bank coming in, it's things that, these are easy things to support. I know that it's all on paper, but if nobody starts the ball rolling, it'll never roll. So thank you. Ontario Street reconstruction. Shannon has got a report on an update on that, and some good news that some councillors will be happy with, and then maybe some spending if we're all in that mood. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I guess the good news is that the underground of Ontario Street has been completed. What they're looking at starting this week is the curbing. so that we can get moving on the above ground. So the reason for coming to council tonight is currently to date, we've spent $34,000 of our contingency of the 100,000. We've also have about $20,000 in savings of quantity savings for the underground. So currently right now we have about $100,000 in savings, looking at council's direction in regards to previously to reduce the cost of the project. We reduced the top lift of asphalt, which was around $70,000. So we're looking for council if this would be the opportune time to put that top lift on if we wanted to. It's about $70,000. There is still the potential risk that we could go over based on the above ground, but I believe it at this time, and speaking with Josh, our engineer, the risk is very low. We were more concerned with the underground. So as I indicated, is that they are preparing the curbing. So this would be the time, if council wants, is to put that top lift of asphalt on. So looking for some council direction on how we want to proceed with this. If we decide a later date to do it, there is additional cost to reset the curbing and stuff down the road. This would be some cost savings in the long run. So I'll leave it up to council to provide direction.
Okay. Council Wells.
Very nice to hear the savings. And I'm all for the spending the 70,000 on the extra lift. I know at the time we were saving money, we have saved the money, but that extra lift is, if anyone drives down Campbell Street to see what one lift of asphalt looks like 4 years down the road, it's money well spent to do the second lift for sure. So I would be, I'd be well, we're saving 100,000, there's still 30,000, so we're still ahead of the game. And I think it'd be a good investment on that street to put the second lift, especially it's not costing us any extra, the money's there. Like you stated, Shannon, like if down the road at one point, second lift will have to go on because it's not gonna last. And Campbell Street is a perfect example of that. So I say we spend the money and move on, and we still have $30,000 put in the piggy bank. Thank you.
Yes, Shannon.
Sorry, just let me correct that. So we actually have, 85,000. So with the 70,000, we'd have about $15,000 left in savings. Apologize, there was an error because we had to put in the bell lines and stuff, which was the additional 15. So if council decides to go with the additional lift, we still have about $15,000 in savings moving forward.
Sounds good. Thanks for the clarification. Councilor Mellon.
Well, I like a close shave as well as the next person, but wow, that's close. We've got 15,000 to work with. I realize that, if we come back in, and I think the whole idea was, going down the road in another year, or so, we were going to maybe, watch the road, but we were probably planning on doing that second lift. Do you, 15,000 and they don't think there's going to be anything else. That's I remember at the time I said we needed probably 200,000 contingencies, just on past projects, 10%. 15,000 is awful close, people, but yeah, this is probably the time to do it because we'll probably spend, 70,000. We'll probably spend close to 100,000 to put the second lift on it, in a year or two down the road. So yeah, I'll go along with it. 15,000 is close.
Councilor Lewis.
Well, when we first had the debate about Ontario Street, and the second was one of the options that we took out, and I did not feel comfortable at that time to remove that, but I'm a gambler. 15,000. Let's get the second lift done. Thank you.
Mayor Gardner.
Yeah, I think that we did our due diligence by having the contingency plan put in place. I think the savings have been found, and I would really like to get it done to the proper capacity. Not saying that the one lift would have done it, but I think that so we don't have to discuss this in future, in the future, in the close future. I say if we can do it, let's get it done.
And I agree, you know, we are very fortunate that nothing more in the underground costs us more money. You know, 100,000 wasn't a big contingency, and I will also admit that as much as I was fairly upset that we were going to spend $2.5 million on one small street in Morrisburg, having watched from a distance all the work they had to do, it was a big job. And they've done a good job. We have a bunch of local subs that done real good on getting stuff done and making some extra dollars. So I don't even think it's that big a gamble. Like if it was me and I'm in a business and I had 85 grand left and it only cost me 70 to do a second lift now, it's going to cost me 100,000 down the road. I don't think there's much discussion on that. I think we go ahead and do that. So council's directions to do so. So send that message on to EVB and we'll get her done.
Okay, we'll proceed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the last discussion is something I added on, and I'll give council a little background on this. Coffee at council sessions, we had some discussion from residents about engine brake signage going into our villages. At that time, specifically Morrisburg. We did have a discussion as council to say that we would go ahead and do that operation. In the meantime, we've also had requests from people that live in the village of Iroquois. So I've started that ball rolling because council did have some concurrence with that and discussions with our director of transportation. He has gone ahead and got some information on some costing, and the two of us discussed placements of signs. This is something that South Dundas would have to be responsible for putting the signage up. The counties don't do these type of signs, so no different here than it would be North Dundas or South Stormont. I know they do have them in North Dundas, so I'll turn it over to Jeff to explain the cost implications, because there are signs to be bought, and the procedure in getting it done, and the locations that we had chosen up to date. So Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So just to elaborate on our conversation with the Mayor. So we're looking at getting signs. They'll say residential area, do not use engine brake. These signs are strictly an informative sign. They're not enforceable by OPP or by bylaw. They're just more or less asking the truckers not to use their engine brake. They have them up on Highway 43 near the boundary of Kempville and North Dundas. Just they're 18 inches wide by 24 inches long, high reflectivity on a 12-foot post. We have the post in stock, so all we would need is to order the signs, and 10 signs will cost us $302 plus tax. That could be absorbed through my sign budget. And the installation will happen. There'll be 2 signs placed in Williamsburg, one on the north end of town, one on the south end of town, 3 in Iroquois at the east end, west end, and the north end of Highway 2 as you approach the village. And in Morrisburg, the same thing. There will be 3, one on the east end, one in the west end, and one in the north end on Highway 31 as you approach Morrisburg. We can install them with our own staff. We'll need to submit for locates, which is a normal procedure that we do. Other than that, the only thing we'll have to do is purchase the signs. I've talked with Ben DeHaan at the counties, and he's all in favor, as this is a municipality led project. He has no problem with us putting the signage up on the roadways.
Okay, so for council tonight, and the reason I think council needs to at least confirm the decision is that there's a cost involved with number of signs. The sign location, I thought, were just on our major county roads in Williamsburg, the ones that would not be done are County Road 18 on the east approach and west approach. And I may defer to Councillor Wells on some thoughts on that. I'm thinking there's not as much traffic going in, but maybe I'm mistaken. And I know Deputy Mayor Gardner has been in conversation with some residents with their concerns too. So I'll turn it over to her and then we'll go around.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. No, this is great. This has been a concern for some time, and the signs that Jeff is talking about, it's been on my radar as I've been on my little excursions this summer. They're quite common. I do believe that it's probably fairly, I don't know, Jeff, correct me, but fairly recognized in the trucking community. They probably respect that. They want to be good citizens or whatever. So I think that the cost is minimal, and I think that it will alleviate a lot of annoyance for our residents. So I think it's a good move.
Councillor Lewis?
I believe purchases the signs are a good thing. I know when the trucks come down the number 2 and they get close to Augusta Street and they use the old, as I call it, the Jake brake, she really rumbles. And I know I've got many complaints out of the subdivision on the north side of the red light about how they're coming into town and they use the Jake brake and it almost vibrates them out of their chair in the house. So no, I think that's a good deal, and I would go ahead and purchase it. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon?
No, it's a good thing. I mean, they can sure rumble, especially, at night. The 3 locations that you have picked, Williamsburg, Iroquois, Morrisburg, I think it's a good start, and we can, expand out from there if we need to. You got areas like Princeton, they're coming in there, going through Princeton at night and through the day. But this is a good start. We'll see how it progresses, and if I don't know, can you get, maybe buy 2 or 3 extra ones just to have them on hand in case we need them in another location, down the road. We find them, maybe not, maybe it doesn't work well to do that, but yeah, go for it.
I don't disagree with your thinking, Councillor Mellon. I think, I wouldn't say we get more, but maybe as there's more awareness, maybe there's possibility of going in some of the other locations. I'm not sure downtown Halbert qualifies, but I'll leave that up to you. Councillor Wells?
I'll let you know.
Yeah, I have no problem with the signage going up. Myself, I personally don't think it's as big as issue as everyone making, because Jake brakes they're meant for when you're coming downhill, not when you're on the flat. I think most of the problems is farmers want to be truckers. Mr. Mayor, just saying.
I don't give.
No, I have no issues with it. It's just it's some signs there, and there's definitely people out there putting the Jakes on when they're coming in, slow down. But anyways, I have no issue.
Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I priced that wrong. Sorry, that was for 10 signs. So I ordered 2 extra signs because I'm guaranteeing you one's going to go missing because somebody will want it in their garage as a souvenir. So that's for 10 signs at $30.28 a sign.
That's a pretty good deal for a sign in my book. So, okay, well, council concurs. So let's come up with a plan and get the signs in, and then we'll go from there. So. I'm sure it'll be appreciated because I know you may not have heard it from some, but I have heard it from one person quite often, and I deserved it because I didn't get the job done early enough. So good. Okay. It's the end of that list. No notices of motion, Madam Clerk, I assume.
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll, before you read the next motion for closed, I'd like to thank council so far. I'd like to thank staff for their input. I also like to thank reporters that are out there, and thank the audience for tuning in and watching your council at work. My take of it is that it's been well received, and when we do move back in the chambers, we're going to do our best to make sure that you still get the feed you would like to see. Certainly give us any comments you can to improve your experience with us. It's just, we want to be as open and transparent as possible. And we certainly hope we're doing as good a job as we can for you. So with that, we'll go into closed session. And once we are done with closed session, we will only have the ratification bylaw to do. So this will be it for the live session. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone for participating, and go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Mellon, that the council of the municipality of Dundas proceed in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee.
Okay, you all heard the motion. Read the, do the roll, vote, please.
Mayor Byveld?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Yes.
Councillor Lewis?
Yes.
Councillor Mellon?
Yes.
Councillor Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries. And with that, thank you very much. And we'll have a 5-minute recess for council.